You have lived a life together and shared so many responsibilities. You probably aren't even aware of how much you do versus your partner. You have probably just gotten used to the daily and weekly family routine. But it's all about to change. Once your partner exits the home for their own home, you will be left with a whole bunch of sometimes new and unfamiliar responsibilities as a parent and an ex-partner. Thinking through what life will be like once you are parenting alone is critical up front, so you can ensure the transition from a married family life to a working independent life is as smooth as possible. Some of the things to consider are listed here on the screen. School runs, school trips, holidays, travel, family involvement, housekeeping, friends, sleepovers, sex, alcohol. It's time for you to consider your values and your views on how these things should be run when you are living alone with the children or your partner is. What will work best for you two as spouses, and how does this impact the children? Are you familiar with the family routines enough to pick up where your partner has been playing a role? How can you prepare yourself to change your daily routine to make this work? Let's talk more on this with Jacqlin Richards, family parenting specialist from Your Parent Journey. Hi Jacqlin, and thanks for joining me again today.
Great to be here.
So what are some of the pitfalls that parents encounter when they're separating?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is the emotions that come up and the fighting that can happen, the arguments. However, one of the biggest ones that I see is when they're still trying to parent together even though they're separated. And the amount of control and expectations that come in from one side and the other, trying to control the other parent and having expectations on them. And another one that you touched on in the intro is the huge shift in roles for some of these parents. Some of one parent or the other often has not had as much influence or as much interaction with their children's lives, and all of a sudden they can be on 50-50. So it's a huge transition that some of these parents face when going through separation and divorce.
What can people do to prepare better for this?
I think one of the biggest things that they could do is work on their parenting. Really have a look at what's going on in their world and their lives as parents, because so many of us actually have had no training or sort of certification in our lives as parents. We're simply repeating the patterns of the past of the way that we were parented. And another thing is that they can agree to disagree. And it might be that the only thing that they can agree on is the health and the happiness and the safety of the children. And that is the most important thing. When we can get to a point where they can actually focus on the needs of the children, that's one thing that, that's one thing that they really, really can do.
What advice would you give people who believe that their spouse or ex-spouse is not coping well with parenting?
Well, the best thing that I would say at this point is to allow a transition. Allow that other parent a transition that is in the best interests of the child or the children. So one of the things that I would advise is to lose the control, lose the expectations around that other parent. Let them figure it out. Let them sort it out that is based on the interests of the children and the agreement that you've made at that point. So another really important piece here is to get to a point as parents where you can have dad's house, dad's rules, and mum's house, mum's rules. And this is really, really creating that way of parenting through separation. So, and for the other parent to support that, it's like, okay, you guys are going back to dad's now, so it's dad's rules, dad's house, dad's rules, and really support each other in that agreement. And the other thing that you can do is to work on your parenting. Really, really work on your parenting, because empowered parenting through separation and divorce is a very, very different thing. And if you can become more empowered, then you can empower your children through the process. And what we're talking about here is getting new tools, new tips, new ways of seeing things that are going to support you through the process of separation and divorce.
Thanks for your fantastic advice.
Oh, you're so welcome.
We can provide you with a range of resources, including a parenting plan, which will help you navigate some of these more sensitive parenting issues.